back to yet, I guess, the remix of our community forum to discuss our return to school. You know, we call it a remix because, you know, we're sharing pretty much similar information. You know, more importantly, the presentation you're going to see today was presented to our students this morning. You know, Mr. DeBell, Mr. Williams, you know, they had some incredible assemblies to share with our students what we are about to share with you, because it's probably more important that they understand, you know, what's happening. You know, we know that as parents and as responsible for them, that we have a vested interest, but they themselves, they should know what to expect, because, you know, they will be in the building and or working with us remotely. So I'm going to welcome you all back again. If you have not done so, if you can please mute your microphone. We do have a presentation that I will be presenting, if I can locate it. I see it right there. And we're going to get started, you know, because I know if you all, like us around here, you probably, you know, have your eyes outside the window seeing what the snow is doing. So, you know, it's pretty interesting. It was I tried to wait around in Teaneck before I left the community, but the snow was arriving just as I was leaving. So I'm going to get started. Let's see. Uh-oh. I apologize for that. Uh-oh. No. Yeah, please bear with me. I know a lot of times our computers get a little sluggish as we open more and more tabs up. So hopefully we can do this seamlessly. And Ms. Pena, if you can give me another, not sound check, but a visual check. Is the presentation visible?
We see your avatar.
Pardon me?
We see your avatar.
I even see your presentation.
You do see the presentation? No? Okay.
I see it.
Yeah, we see it now.
You see the presentation?
Yes.
All right. Is it only the presentation? Because this looks pretty new to me.
Yes, you could see the presentation.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So we're gonna get started. And pardon me, because yeah, this, like I said, this looks pretty new to me. Uh-oh. Mr. D, does the presentation look reverse?
No, the slide we see is the red BFMS reentry plan December 16th on the screen, the opening slide.
Okay. All right. All right. Did we switch?
No, we're still on the first slide.
Okay. All right. So I think something is. I'm going to do something a little different, if you can just bear with me. Yeah. Just so our families know, things like this is pretty typical even in the classroom. You know, Google, they do a lot of updates. So what I just saw just now was a first for me. I'm going to go into stop presenting and I'm going to represent. I'm just going to present a way that I'm more familiar with it, which is the entire screen. And I'll circle back to revisit.
That's so weird.
Yeah, uh-oh. How about now, Mrs. D? Because it says they can't share my screen.
Yes, we can't see your screen.
How about now?
No, not yet.
Okay. Yeah.
You want to share it with me and I'll try it on my end?
Okay, yeah. Well, it is the same presentation, so yeah, you can try it on your end. For some reason, I'm not they're not allowing me to have access or to share it.
Okay, give me 1 sec.
Okay, yeah. And thank you all for your patience. I'm gonna log in from another device so I can keep track of what's going on.
Hello? Anyone hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, I tried to go on a Google Meet, but they did not let me go in.
I am admitting people right now, so if you return to the initial page, I'll admit you. So what I'm doing to our families is I am admitting people into the room, and I have to do it manually.
All right, I finally.
Okay.
Can you see it, Mr. Williams? You should be
Yeah,
good.
it's perfect. Yeah. So we are good now.
We're doing good.
All right, excellent. So we're going to start with our mission statement. The Teaneck Public School District educates and empowers students by providing a high quality, rigorous educational experience which prepares our students for success within a diverse global society. Our vision statement, the Teaneck Advantage, educational excellence for all. Our Benjamin Franklin Middle School mission statement. Our goal is to provide students with an exceptional and competitive education which prepares each of them for the tomorrow today. And before you is the Teaneck Public Schools executive team. About 4 individuals down, you see the name Mrs. Melissa Simmons, business administrator. Mrs. Simmons, she is the guest who will be joining us this evening to discuss some issues and to answer some questions that maybe that you all may want to hear with regards to safety and just some protocol as to talk about during our return. Our board of trustees, starting with Dr. Wilder, Mrs. Clara Williams, Mrs. Linda Burns, Victoria Fisher, Mrs. Sarah Rappaport. As you can see, her name is in bold, and as I shared or usually share, Mrs. Rappaport is the board liaison between the school and the community. So she is a point of contact if you needed to reach out to a board member, although you can reach out to each and every one of them, if you had a concern. Mr. Joe Reiner, Mr. Sebastian Rodriguez, Mr. Howard Rose, and last but not least, Mrs. Denise Sanders. All right. So I want to start, before I turn things over to Mr. DeBell. This past week, we welcomed, 2 individuals from our school community into this prestigious club called the Governor's Department, the New Jersey Department of Education Governor's Educator of the Year Award. So this award was awarded to Mr. Torriello, one of our math teachers, an exceptional educator, who we are proud to present this award to him for the 2020-2021 school year. If he is one of the educators that shares space with with your son or sons and or daughters, please congratulate him on the great work that he's been doing and he will continue to do, for this academic year and years to come. Also, because we get two individuals, that we can recommend. We also congratulated Mrs. Elizabeth Bauer. Mrs. Bauer, she's our school psychologist, and she is this year's 2020-2021 New Jersey Department of Education Governor's Educational Service Professional of the Year. So these two individuals, this is week one of this amazing award. They share with educators around the state, and the goal is for them to keep going and continue, at the county level, at the state level, and if they want, they can take it all the way, to the national level. But we are proud of them. They are amazing servants, if you will, of our children, of our staff, and we couldn't have, we couldn't have chosen, as a school community, two greater individuals. So without any delay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce our very own Mr. Gingerbread Man. He's going to come. He's going to present some information to you all. Mr. D, you can take it away.
Cool. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Can you hear me?
I do hear you.
All right. It's a little cold in the gingerbread house. So I didn't know if you were able to hear me well. But good evening, everybody. It's the only opportunity that I'll probably get to wear this amazing outfit since we won't be doing any holiday parties or any major events. So I wanted to take the opportunity tonight to make sure I dressed to impress and was also in the holiday spirit. I'm going to go through the presentation for you that we shared with our students today, because our ultimate goal is to make sure that our students and now our families have an opportunity to understand what Benjamin Franklin Middle School is going to look like come January when students have the option to return. And obviously, as we get ready to return to the building, instruction is always a top priority. But in this time of a global pandemic, safety is also a top priority too. So this first slide you see in front of you just talks about all the safety measures we're putting in place as we are allowing staff and students back in the building come the middle of January. So what will take place each day is all students who will be attending live, which we'll talk about in a little bit, will need to complete a daily student screening form. You'll get an email every morning and you'll have access to this form, and you'll have to answer a series of questions, very similar now if you're going to a doctor's appointment or other places of business where you have to complete health forms COVID related. You would have to do the same thing for school each day when your child is eligible to come in. And according to that, when your child gets to the door, that's what will allow them into the school building. So it'll ask questions about possible symptoms. You'll be asked to take your child's temperature because we won't be doing temperature checks at the building level. But that will be the first level of safety for us, is having you assuring us that your child is safe and healthy and ready to come to school. Some of the other measures we'll have in place is all students and staff will be required to wear face masks as soon as they step foot on the property. I say the property and not just in the building, because if they are outside, we also want them to be in face masks. Upon arrival, all students will receive on their first day in the building their own PPE kits from the district. It will have a hand sanitizer, and it will also have a face mask, which they could keep in school, which would be an additional extra face mask in case they forgot it or didn't have those. One of the most important things that we're doing is we're moving to a cohort model. At Benjamin Franklin Middle School, we have 554 students. We can't let 554 students plus 80 staff members back in the building all at once. In order to do a safe ease back into school, we'll be having half of the student body return on given days, which we'll talk about in a little bit. but automatically we go from 550 and cut that down to 225. So that's an additional safety measure. Students will remain in their homerooms and staff will be moving to them. So in our traditional schools, students are moving to different classes 7 periods of the day. We can't do that to start for safety reasons. So our teachers are going to be moving to the student cohorts. There will be limited movement in the building. Some of our special education students will be moving about to different classrooms, but by and large, a majority of our students who are live and in person will be staying with their homeroom in their classes, and their teachers will be traveling to them. Over the summer, Ms. Williams and I created cohorts already, which have students in pods. So they are already traveling with the same group of students to their classes in this virtual space. So they will not need to switch their schedules or any teachers. It'll be a matter of the teachers coming to them. All student desks will have desk barriers, which will surround their desks around 3 of the 4 parts of the desk. It is clear, but is also another protective measure we have in place. And initially, to start off, we're not going to have any large gatherings. So lunch will not be served in the cafeteria. There will not be any recess periods. There will not be any grade level assemblies. We're really going to ease back into our new norm slowly and safely and progress from there. So the return dates that we have, our self-contained and our MD students will be eligible to return the week of January 11th. Our remaining students will be eligible to return January 25th, and that would be for students using the hybrid cohort model. On Monday, you should have all received an email from Dr. Irving with an option to keep your child remote, doing entire virtual learning for marking period 3. Since we went into the pandemic, Governor Murphy has afforded schools the opportunity for parents to have that option for their students to remain virtual. We put a link to this on the BF website, and we will email it out to you afterwards. I also emailed it out this morning, but that would be the form that you would fill out if you would be choosing to keep your child virtual through the start of the January return and through the 3rd marking period. What we'd expect is at the end of the 3rd marking period, there would be another opportunity to choose the virtual option. If you do not fill out that form, the understanding is that your child is coming back live and in person when we're expected to return in January. So what the cohort model is going to look like is it's based on student last names, because we do want to keep families and siblings on the same schedule. So how it'll be broken up is into these 2 cohorts that you see in front of you. Students with the last name A through L and students with the last name M through Z. So students returning will get 2 days of live instruction and 3 days of virtual instruction. So for example, Dave Dubell would be coming live to school Monday and Tuesday, but would be virtual Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Marina Williams, on the other hand, since her last name ends with a W, would be virtual Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, and be returning Thursday and Friday. As you may notice, Wednesday is virtual for all students because after the first cohort comes Monday and Tuesday, the custodial department will be doing a deep cleaning of the building to ensure a transition for the next cohort, which would be coming in. So that's the way our students will be broken up as we plan for the return in January, simply placed by utilizing their last name to set the cohorts. So what does a live day look like? For our 5th and 6th grade students, they would be coming in from 8:30 to 12:35 would be their live day. The same thing holds true for 7th and 8th grade students, but their day ends at 12:45. At 12:35 or 12:45, that's when the students would be having the opportunity to grab their lunch as they exit the building and head home, because all of our WIN periods in the afternoon are all virtual. So our students who are coming live will be coming in for a half day live, and then they will be leaving at the designated time that you see in front of you, and their afternoon sessions in their WIN, what I need now periods, will all be virtual. That hour in between will be for travel time and for lunchtime. We will have a grab and go cart where students can purchase lunch on their way out so they can bring it home with them as they travel to get ready for their afternoon set of classes. So they will be following the same exact schedule that they are following now. As a live day is going on, our virtual school day will be happening as well too. So our teachers will be teaching live to the students in the classroom, and they'll be teaching to the virtual students as well. If you missed our presentation last week, the WIN periods are what I need, are the periods that are in the afternoon, which provide additional instructional support for our students. They could be working in small groups. They could be working on some assignments that were assigned earlier on in the day, but we've created a schedule on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays in the afternoon where students have additional exposure to their teacher as well as their classmates, where they could really be getting what they need at that particular time. So our mornings are primarily instruction driven with the goals and objectives and the standards we're trying to meet. And the afternoons are those additional opportunities for instructional periods. But again, all our WIN periods will be virtual as we start off in the return to school in January. So if your child is coming live on those 2 days, what do they need? They need their face mask. They need to bring their Chromebook, which should be fully charged. They should bring headphones. We will have headphones that we can provide to them, but it's much easier if they bring their own. Since we will be working virtually and at different times, encores could be going on within their class, the headphones will allow students to be in a space that is a little bit more private to them in their Chromebook, which we think will be ideal for them. We would obviously want to limit any use of water fountains in the building, so we ask that students bring their own water bottles. And although we have hand sanitizer stations and they will receive a hand sanitizer, we also recommend that they have their own and bring it with them. For this school year, at the middle and high school levels, lockers will not be used. Students will keep their materials in their classroom, either on their chair or underneath their desks. Our lockers are very close together, and we don't want congregations of students in the hallway or that close to each other. So those students who are live will hang their jackets up on the back of their chair. They'll be able to put their books underneath them in the book rack, and that will be their own personal space for them to be able to work each day. So how a child knows what pod they're in is really very simple. It's just based on their homeroom. And we shared with the students this morning. So each grade level has a set number of pods based on their homeroom teacher. And their homeroom teacher is the classroom that they'll remain in the mornings from 8:30 until 12:30 or 12:45 in the afternoon, depending on their grade level. So for example, if I am a student in Miss Ebert's homeroom, I am in Pod A in the 5th grade, and I'll be working in room 108 for the entire part of my live instruction in the morning. And again, as we shared earlier, the teachers will be rotating to the students. The students will not be moving the classrooms for the most part. So you can see the 6th grade pods are on the right side of the screen, broken out by homeroom teachers in the 6th grade. And the same thing holds true for our 7th and 8th grade students. They're broken up into their homeroom pods as well too, and their homerooms are stationed where their homeroom teachers are. So for example, if I have Miss Chu for homeroom, I will be working in room 101, which is down in Miss Chu's homeroom for the entire duration of the morning. Now for our encores, which are specials, gym, Spanish, French, forensic science, creative writing, the encore teachers will be reporting to those homeroom classes. For 5th and 6th grade, their encore teachers are assigned by their homerooms. So those teachers will be coming to those 5th and 6th grade classrooms. For 7th and 8th grade students who choose their encores, we still wanted to provide them the opportunity to take the encore classes that they selected at the end of last year. So what will happen is during encore periods for 7th and 8th grade, those students who are in live in-school person will be working remotely, virtually with their encore teacher. And although the Encore teachers will be rotating to the classrooms, it doesn't necessarily mean that the teacher in front of them will be their actual Encore teacher. But of course, their teacher will be on the screen working with them through Google Classroom, Pear Deck, or whatever platform they see fit. Some other important changes that we've created as a building is our stairwells will be designated either up only, down only, to limit the number of interactions in the hallways and stairwells. Our hallways will be split in the middle to ensure students aren't crossing over each other. We will have staggered arrival times in the morning. We will talk about that as we get closer to the start of the reentry. But our plan would be to have the 5th and 6th grade students enter the building first, and then after 5 to 10 minutes, have our 7th and 8th grade students enter the building, again, just as a way to limit the amount of people moving at the same time. As a district and as a school, we're required to have our own isolation room, which is separate from our nurse's office. So if a student, a staff member was to become symptomatic during the school day, the isolation room would be used to separate them from the general population and also from the nurse's office until somebody can come and pick them up. We also will have an isolation area for those students whose families do not complete the daily health form. Those students who upon arrival are found to not have completed that form will report directly to the gym from the blacktop, and they will have to wait in the gym until we could get in contact with a family member to complete that form. Our ultimate goal is to have all those forms completed before students arrive, and our office staff will work to contact parents who may have forgotten to complete that form even after the email reminders each day. As I mentioned earlier, there won't be any lunch or recess periods to start in this plan. Lunch will be grab and go. During student enrichment periods, which are usually their lunch and recess periods, and right now in the virtual world are our screen time breaks, those students will remain with their homerooms. Those will be opportunities to possibly have some class meetings within their class. Weather permitting, it might be a chance for that homeroom teacher to take that class outside to get some fresh air, possibly to have a mask break outside. Obviously, a day like today where we're expected to get 12 inches or more of snow wouldn't be ideal for those breaks, but hopefully we'll get some days where it is warm and we could take those opportunities to get some fresh air as we restart the reentry plan. So just to give you some visuals, and you may recall this from our last meeting, this is the hand sanitizer station that all floors have 2 to 3 on. Students or staff could simply step on the pedal here and the hand sanitizer comes out from up above. This way there's no hand pump, nothing has to be touched. It's all regulated by a footstep. There are social distance and mask hand sanitizing signs throughout the building. You'll see our social distancing spots here in the middle lead to our nurse's office. If there was a group that needed to go to the nurse's office, they would be designated on these spots, which are separated 6 feet apart. On the right of your screen, you'll see one of our pieces of sanitation equipment that our custodial staff will use to disinfect the building while students and staff are there, and also into the afternoon and evening hours when they're not there. Obviously, our cleaning regimen has been something that we need to keep an eye on, and we want to be sanitizing the area as much as possible once we allow individuals back into the building. This picture on the left over here is a sample classroom. You can see the desks are already spread out to have a good amount of space in between them. And if you look closely, you'll see this desk has a desk barrier around the 3 portions of the desk. The clip comes to the side of the desk, and it's just another barrier for our students to be separated. If you could picture the class going on, right now you have a student in a mask, which is one barrier. They have their desk barrier, which is a second safety measure, and being distanced away from each other is a third safety measure. All of these on top of having that health questionnaire form are all the different levels of safety we're taking into consideration. You'll see some of the floor spots that are outside. You'll see some of the floor spots that are outside to designate 6 feet apart as students will enter the building. And over here, if you haven't had an opportunity to purchase your BF Bulldogs mask, they're being sold by the PTO. These were designed by one of our amazing 8th graders, Alex Tomlinson. Shout out to Alex for creating these masks. It is a PTO fundraiser, but also a great way for our students to stay safe and show their BF pride. Some other important things that we share with our students this morning is that on January 6th, progress reports for marking period 2 will be coming out. So as we focus on finishing up this 2020 portion of the school year, the students have the rest of this week and next week to finish up their grades as we get to the halfway point of marking period 2. We reminded students that in order for them to be promoted to the next grade level, they must pass all their classes, core classes and encore classes. And as we get to the middle point of the second marking period, we really want them to remain focused on their academics and their instruction. As our 7th and 8th grade families should know, and our students know, Teaneck High School is hosting a virtual open house tomorrow. So it's important that we keep a keen eye on those instructional and those academic grades, because ultimately for our 7th and 8th grade students, high school is right around the corner, and we want them to be thinking about high school and the opportunities that they will have at Teaneck High School. The PTO also asked me to share with you this evening that our online school Spiritware store has reopened. It'll close midnight on December 23rd, but they have put together a great opportunity to purchase BF Bulldogs hoodie, pajama pants, t-shirts, long sleeve shirts. They came out fantastic. We had families pick them up last week, and this will be another opportunity to order them. This round of orders will probably be coming in the second to third week of January, but it's another amazing opportunity just to show your BF pride and to be able to gear up. So I know Ms. Williams has been working through our chat to answer the many questions that you may have. Our students had some amazing questions this morning. We had some great dialogue, and it truly was just great to be able to interact with them and have a grade level meeting. Mr. Smith and I were joking around how usually we would be in a crowded auditorium and trying to hurry up and get all the kids down the aisles and in the stairs. In the seats, but it was so easy in this virtual space to get everybody in the same spot and started right away. And it was so nice to see so many of our students today interacting and asking questions, because we know they so badly want to get back into the building, as do we, as the staff and teaching aspects of our school as well too. So at this point, I'm actually going to stop presenting my screen so we could come back to our live meet. If you have a question or you'd like to pose a question, if you don't mind just putting your name in the chat, and then we could just go down the chat and we could call in any of the individuals who may have a question that we did not answer yet.
Pardon me, Mr. D. I just want to check to see if Ms. Simmons have arrived yet. If you have, if you can raise your hand, Ms. Simmons, and we'll bring you in. So what I'll do is, some of the questions that's coming along and that's coming across in the chat. I know Ms. Williams is answering some questions, and I've been answering some as well, but I'll share them out loud, as many of you may have the same question. Someone has asked, what is the schedule for students who will be all virtual? And Okay, so yeah, so the all virtual schedule is pretty much consistent with the schedule that we're using now. The only difference is those students will access or probably know that some of their peers are in the building learning in person, but the schedule is pretty much identical to the schedule that we are using right now. Someone else asked about the lunch line. Will there be supervision to make sure that they are not standing next to each other, as Mr. The Bell shared? I mean, the lunch is going to be grab and go, so it will be supervised to make certain that that students are taking their time on their way as they exit the building. So we do have carts that we used that we utilized last year for our breakfast program. We'll probably use the same strategies, except making certain that students are spaced out as they grab their lunch to depart. Someone asked about the 2 days of learning. Is it consistent across the district? As per and the reason for the cohort is to make certain that siblings are kind of grouped together so that we can kind of cut down on movement. And as you go and grab one of your children from elementary school, perhaps you can come to BF first or go to BF last. But the goal is to make certain that families are moving together, and that's what promoted this cohort system. Yeah. For Ms. Edmond, and we all understand, the struggles that we've been dealing with, especially, students who, who are faced with, with even more struggles than some of their peers. You can certainly reach out, to the child study team, myself, Mr. DeBell, Ms. Williams, and we'll be, happy to discuss this further with you. Ms. Williams answered the question about students who have transportation. They will have it again. That is true.
And Mr. Williams is Mr. D.
Yeah.
Ms. Golden asked if cases continue to rise, will school be delayed again, or is this a definitive schedule for students? Mr. and Ms. Golden, that question is always at the discretion of the district. So they have shared with us that this is our plan, but plans are always subject to change based on decisions that could be made by Teaneck Public Schools or by the county or by the state. Ms. Francis asks, can you change your decision if you decided to opt in and decide that virtual will be better for the student during the third marking period? Ms. Francis, we'll have to check on that one. I know that the deadline to choose for that remote option is this Friday. So we'll have to check to see if that switch is a possibility. But I know for us, for planning purposes as a district and especially as a school, we need to plan and know the amount of students that are planning to return and to come in so we could have our classrooms and our teachers prepared for that mid-January date.
Thank you, Mr. D. I'm going to check to see if our guest is ready for us yet.
Ms. Ware had a question about what happens if there's an exposure or positive test for a student or teacher and what our protocol is in regards to quarantine, reentry plan after quarantine.
Yeah. So the district, currently follow, a pretty, tight regimen in terms of, if contact tracing needs to occur. There's documentation that's filled out, and usually there's a questionnaire about where any of those individuals may have been as of recently. And usually, in the district, Mrs. Simmons, she would share more about this, but the district will contact anyone who, according to, CDC guidelines, have been exposed, for whatever time that they may deem necessary, to consider these contacts, a risk, and those people will be contacted and asked to quarantine. It is posted on the website. There is a Google form that we fill out daily, and even in filling out those forms that the students and the families will have to fill out as well. We use that information. We screen it. We screen it almost every time that someone submits it. It is screened, and we will contact anyone who seems to have been a close contact, or if they indicate on that form that they have tested positive. Thank you, Ms. Williams and Ms. Ware.
What might be helpful for some of our families to know is that basically when you look at class sizes traditionally at BF, our class sizes for 5th and 6th grade, they usually range anywhere from about 24 to 28 students per class. In 7th and 8th grade, those numbers are probably a little bit smaller. I would say they would range from 8 to 24 students per class. So if you cut that in half, that would give you a good idea of what an average class size will look like in this cohort model. I think it would be safe to assume that those classes could range anywhere from 12 to 16 students in this new cohort model.
Yeah, so Mr. Angley, your question, and how can a parent be expected to honestly make an educated decision for their child or children by Friday when things regarding COVID are changing weekly, if not daily? Many do agree, and that's why I think the district, continue to reserve to the right to adjust this plan. We too are monitoring things. The district, that is, it's a district decision. It's not a building-based decision. So even as a building, we look to the district to see how we will be moving forward. What we have done as a leadership team and as a school is to make certain that we are prepared. If the decision to to return to school is a decision that you will make, we want you all to be comfortable in knowing that we have taken all precautions to make certain that we're providing a safe learning space for your child. Someone asked, will teachers have assistants in a classroom? Some classrooms, even prior to going virtual, did have assistants, sometimes paras, sometimes co-teachers. Those classrooms will continue to have that support. Other classrooms, there will be support in and around the building. It may not be as consistent as those other classes, but we will work to make certain that everyone have support. Mr. Ha, clarification for the what I need period. You asked, is it mandatory or optional or encouraged? No, we certainly encourage it. Our modified schedule, it is not a half day. We say that boldly. It's not a half day. Instruction continues after lunch, and students, they do have the option that they do have is to decide what where they may have some academic struggle. If they do not have any academic struggles in any areas, they would find an area where they can enhance some of the great work that they're already doing. So the win period is just not for students who need academic help. Our most exceptional students, we want to provide them with the space so they can remain exceptional. Ms. Randolph, I'm going to hold that question till Ms. Simmons come. But thank you for that question. We are also excited to welcome our families back into the classroom. We are extremely excited and looking forward to seeing, the learners who return and continue to see the learners that we see daily, virtually.
Hi, I'm a concerned relative. My niece, she goes to the middle school over here. Concerning the CDC guidelines going into a classroom, how will you guys follow that?
You're saying how will we? You said how will we follow the CDC guidelines?
Considering that the students need to be 6 feet apart, and so I believe you said that there are 24 students in a classroom, if I'm not mistaken.
No, well, Mr. DeBell was saying, normally we would have that many students in the classroom. Our classrooms right now, they all have shields and they've been outfitted, meaning that the desks have been separated, to be at least 6 feet apart. So those spaces that once accommodated maybe 24 students will probably now accommodate perhaps half, maybe a little bit less, depending on the circumstances. And that's what we will be doing with regards to socially distancing the students in the classroom, in the hallways, or any areas in the building. Not just the students, but anyone who will be in the building.
All right, thank you. I also have another point considering that she's over here staying with me because we had some issues, but we're getting a lot of snow over here and we might lose power. Is there a way that we can that if we email the teachers, will she get marked absent for the day if she still does her work? If we go to like a nearby Starbucks to use their Wi-Fi?
No, I mean, well, I would certainly encourage you, if it's dangerous out to, to not worry about going to Starbucks to find a Wi-Fi connection. The teachers will be sharing, with the students, to continue the work that we've been doing. However, if there is a power outage, we have an amazing honor system, at BF, and I trust that the students will continue to work on whatever they will work on, and attendance will not be a concern. I mean, safety is a concern, not just safety in and around COVID, but even as we are managing this storm, this evening into tomorrow. I mean, so there's nothing to worry about. He or she, all students will be marked present, and whatever work that they decide to work on, whether it's virtual or something they have to do on their own, absent a computer or technology, we will accept it and it will be corrected, by the our teaching staff. Give me 1 second. I'm going to talk. I was losing power. All right. I hope I answered your question, sir.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let's see. And I'm going to see if Ms. Simmons is available. Okay. I see Mr. Muhammad Sali is online. Any information on Ms. Simmons, when she'll be joining us, Muhammad?
Mr. Williams, good evening. Good evening, BF family. I do not. What I'll do is I'll shoot her a text message and I will get right back to you.
Okay, yeah, and you can let her know that I did send her the link, and if she raised her hand once she joined us, we'll bring her in. Thank you. I agree, Ms. Califano. It's a nice suit. Don't blink. It was green last year, so next year I would almost bet everything I own that it'd be white, and then you'll have the Italian flag, green, white, and red. So Thank you, Mr. Happy Hanukkah to our families here.
Mr. Williams, Mr. Cox will be joining us in just a moment, okay?
Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I have a question.
Yes.
What if one of the students take their mask off?
What if one of the students take their mask off? We will encourage the students to keep their masks on. I mean, you know, one, we want to keep everyone safe. Yeah, I didn't have, yeah, we want to keep everyone safe, you know, and we have signage around the building. You know, like that's, you know, if anything is a non-negotiable, and I know it can sometimes be challenging, but even, you know, and I spend a lot of time in the building. I'm in the building every day, and myself and the other personnel who's there, you know, we wear our masks every day, you know, and I know we are months into this pandemic. You know, welcome, Mr. Cox, and, you know, we do want to encourage everyone that, you know, it's not just about your own safety, it's about the safety of the school community. So we want everyone to keep their masks on. You know, when you get out of the building and you need to, you know, get you a nice, you know, breath of air, you know, outside the building and away from individuals, you know, if you're socially distanced, you know, distancing, you know, in a place that's safe, then certainly you can do so. But we do not encourage that in the building. Yeah.
Okay.
How are you, Mr. Cox?
Good evening, Principal Williams. My apologies. I knew I was covering this evening, but I didn't have your meeting in my calendar. So please forgive me for being tardy.
No, it's all right. Now we've been answering questions, and forgive me because I sent all the information to Ms. Simmons, knowing I should have sent it to you as well. So my apologies. But what I would like to do, you know, to our families is introduce, you know, Mr. Cox. You know, he is our coordinator of security, and he's, you know, he has a very difficult job, you know, in terms of keeping us all safe. You know, a lot of the work that has been going on, you know, he's been communicating, you know, with the state, with the local authorities, and you know, we certainly appreciate, you know, his efforts into making certain that all these protocols that we are following are in place, because they do provide structure and comfort, you know, for most of us. You know, I was going to add something else I forgot, but oh yeah, I was going to also add that, you know, as you know, today we were doing testing at Benjamin Franklin Middle School, as was the case last Wednesday. And Mr. Cox, you know, he you know, along with his team, have been coordinating those efforts. So we appreciate, you know, just having access, you know, to that resource, so that our families, our students, and our staff, can have a place that they're familiar with to get tested. So without any delay, I'm going to introduce Mr. Cox, and, you know, he's happy to share, you know, to respond to any questions. I know that there was a question about whether lunch was free, Mr. Cox, and I was deferring to Ms. Simmons. I don't know if you can provide any information with regards to that.
Okay, so we are, good evening, everyone. Again, as Principal Williams stated, my name is Cameron Cox. And so as it relates to COVID response, I kind of have a dual role. Prior to the pandemic, I was I still am the district coordinator for safety. As a result of the NJDOE mandating that every district had a COVID-19 response coordinator, those responsibilities have been added to my role. As it relates to the lunch, during the grab and go portion, lunch portion delivery that we've been utilizing thus far, the Department of Agriculture had relaxed those mandates to say whether lunch and breakfast were free until December 31st. We are still waiting on further guidance, as a lot of districts, not only in New Jersey, but across the nation, are attempting to return to some form of in-person instruction effective sometime in January. So we look to have some further guidance from the Federal Department of Agriculture, which dictates whether lunch is free for all, or if we go back to the initial, you fill out your lunch application and it is free, reduced, and or full. But what we do is encourage that every family fills out a lunch application just to have one on file. In the event that the Department of Agriculture does not waive that requirement and allows us to distribute to any student or family in need, we can always just have that on file. Was there another question that you had already, Principal Williams, or do you need me to check the chat box, or how we, because we did it a little different in the other schools, so I don't want to.
Yeah, no, we've we're in the chat rooms responding to questions.
Okay.
If there is anyone who has a question, with regards to, the return, as it relates to, if you can speak upon, I know there was some questions with regards to the cleaning supplies that we're using. I know there was some questions, or there was a question about CDC guidelines that I think we responded to, but there was a question about the cleaning supplies. Is there anything you can share with regards to that?
Absolutely. So we're utilizing a plethora of cleaning supplies, depending upon the suspected exposure. For our normal high touch point areas where we don't suspect any exposure, we are utilizing a 78 rated cleaning solution, where it's 1 gallon of 78 to 4 gallons of water. Turn it into a spray solution. We spray down doorknobs, door jambs, push bars, light fixtures, and you can just wipe that clean. For the 92 rated cleaning solution, it's mixed in a similar way. However, it has to stay and let sit on the surface and allowed to air dry on itself for at least 15 minutes undisturbed. Generally, we use that cleaning solution in the event that we know we have a confirmed case of exposure in an area or a room. We can spray it safely on desks, doors, windows, allow that to sit. And then for the areas that are a little bit more sensitive, we would spray the 78 solution, and then maintenance staff would clean it and wipe it down. Additionally, we have, what is the name of the solution? It's eucalyptus. It's a eucalyptus solution that we can actually safely spray on electronic devices. You can spray it on almost any surface. It comes in a distribution, I don't want to call it a gun, but it's a distribution device with a backpack. It can be sprayed on everything. And what we are going to utilize those for is just during the day spraying. That solution can be sprayed on the surfaces and it can be left alone. The eucalyptus gives it a nice, refreshing, fragrant smell to anyone walking by it. And that automatically is antibacterial, and it kills anything, any virus or germ that it comes in contact with. And that will be utilized throughout the day as the O&M staff constantly makes their rounds while students are doing the in-person instruction.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Cox. We did have an image of one of our workers, using that device. And as Mr. Cox said, it probably looks more like Ghostbusters, and but there was a question that someone asked about, what kicks into place, once we find out that a student and or a staff member has been found out to be positive.
All right, so I've gotten this question in all other, I think this is number 4 for me, or 5 tonight. And so we have to keep in mind a couple of things. One, confidentiality is paramount, and we cannot share direct information with anyone, no matter whether it's a student or a staff member. So let's start with that baseline. Secondarily, whether it's a student or a staff member, the guidance relating to whether an individual is a primary or direct, you see that those words used interchangeably, and or a secondary contact are very clear. Any one of those types of contacts with the individual, whether it's a staff or a student, have to be directly notified the fact that they are either a primary or direct or a secondary exposure to the case of positivity. At the time that we are confirmed that, you will be notified because you will be giving individual, or and if there are parents listening, the parents, you'll be giving your child's individual quarantining protocols as it relates to the day of exposure. Again, we cannot share even if it was a classmate or your child's teacher, or if it was the custodian or the safety officer, or, you know, forbid one of the administrators. We can't tell you who it is. The only thing we can tell you is that your child is indeed a direct or primary and or secondary contact of a COVID positive individual. At that time, you'll be giving your specific quarantine protocols, as well as follow-up protocols to once you've completed your quarantine protocols. As it relates to notifications, if it's a classroom, the parents of that, no, that wouldn't apply because you'd be a primary. But let's say like the students a floor away and 5 classrooms over would be notified, just like the rest of the parents of the building would be notified, to say, on this date, we were notified that there was a, I'm sorry, I saw my name pop up on the chat group. I'm sorry. So all other parents that are not parents of children that are primary or secondary contacts will be notified with a general notification letter stating that on this date, the school was notified of a confirmed case of COVID-19 virus. At this time, all primary and secondary contacts have been notified and given their specific quarantining protocols. If you have not been contacted directly, you are not a primary or a secondary case of exposure to this confirmed case of positivity. Yet we do want to inform you that we have taken these steps and we've consulted with and contacted the Teaneck Health Department and just notifying you of the case of positivity. And that's the generic letter that will be sent out just to let you know that there was a case. We've addressed it. We've informed those that need to quarantine, and we plan to go about business as normal as it relates to that time of instruction.
Hey, Mr. Cox, it's Mr. Dubell. Somebody had
How you
asked,
doing, sir?
I'm well, how are you?
Wonderful.
I dropped your name in the chat because somebody had asked about the air filtration system and the possibility about keeping windows or doors open.
Okay, well, let's start. Let's start with the doors. We're not going to keep doors open. We still need to practice best practice safety protocols as it relates to our school buildings. And the Office of School Preparedness and Emergency Planning has not yet changed their stance on whether doors should be open. Doors should only be open in a time when children are coming in and out of the classroom, and then they should be closed. As far as windows, that's a weather-driven question. If the classroom, and we know that buildings sometimes fluctuate in temperature, the temperature elevates. By all means, if the teacher would like to, regulate the temperature by just getting an influx of some cool air from outside, that's okay. But I do want to inform everyone that all of our classrooms have the Uniflow, Univent systems, which are dedicated units just for that classroom. It immediately takes air from inside the classroom and pushes it outside of one side of the Univent, while it sucks in fresh air from outside to regulate the circulation of fresh air. So the vents and the units in your child's classroom will regulate fresh airflow. Additionally, each unit will be retrofitted with the MERV rating filter that is required for that unit. And so if you look up the MERV rating, it's a rating by which the level of filtration is in the filter for the device. The best is 30, but I don't want any parents to be misunderstood into thinking that you have to put a 30 in no matter what the unit is. You have to put the MERV rating filter for that unit so that the unit can breathe and operate appropriately. Because if you put a 30 rating filter into a unit designed for 14, you'll actually suffocate the unit and it won't work appropriately. So please understand and please trust that Office of Operations and Maintenance has done a thorough job, especially in the wake of us being in a distant learning environment, virtual learning environment, since the beginning of the school year. We have inventory checked, double checked and triple checked, as well as upgraded all of the filters and replaced all of the filters. in anticipation of the return to the in-person learning environment to ensure that we are able to provide the highest quality of air quality that is actually possible in not only your child's classroom, but in every classroom in the district.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that, Mr. Cox, and Mr. DeBell, and to our families, and staff. Not just today, when I was in the building, but today, yesterday, Monday even, the maintenance staff, they were changing filters in all of the classrooms. Filters were changed 4 months ago in all of the classrooms. And I just want to make it clear that this is something that's done routinely. Although our buildings have been empty, it's still a routine. I believe it's about every 4 months that they decide to change the filters. The filters that were removed, even to my eye looking at them, if it was my home, I probably would have reused the same filters because they looked like they were, they were clean and fairly new. But the protocol is to change the filter, and one, it's a good thing to see. I actually took pictures of it and had thought about even including it in the presentation. But I do want everyone to know that it's something that's just regulated, probably every 4 months, whether people are in the building or not in the building. And I think it's just a best practice that the maintenance staff is utilizing, not just at Benjamin Franklin Middle School, but throughout the district, to ensure that the air that's circulating throughout our buildings is fresh air and that it's just safe. So I just want to just share that as well.
Mr. Cox, there was a question earlier about students who, if they opt out, can they opt back in, and vice versa? If you opt in, but then decide you want to stay virtual, is that possible within the third marking period?
Okay, so my understanding, and I know everything kind of crosses over into my response roles. My understanding of the option portion, I believe the deadline is this Friday. For the opting. If you elect to, let me get this right because we had this in another meeting. If you elect to be virtual, you have to remain virtual at least until the end of that marking period. And so let's say, I know we're coming up on the end of the second marking period. If the third marking period starts and you're virtual, you have to remain virtual at least until the end of the third marking period. However, if you opt in, if you come in for January and you want to be in person, and for whatever personal reasons your family deems appropriate, rates go up, 1 or 2 cases happen in the school, whatever that response dictated by your own personal beliefs happens, and at any time you can opt to go back to virtual. But if you opt to go back to virtual, you have to remain virtual to the end of the market period.
And one more question. I'm not sure if you would be able to answer this, but hopefully you are. There was a question about the after-school program, the SAC program. Will that be running?
Yes. So we are, man, there's a lot of stuff that crosses over to me. So there's we just were granted 2 or 3 more licenses. Please forgive me, sometimes the meetings run together. I believe we were granted 2 or 3 more license locations by the state after some diligence that we put into place with our protocols and being properly prepared. They granted us 2 or 3 new licenses. We don't know, I don't have off the top of my head where those locations will be. We will have minimums for the SAC program. So I do want to caution parents, not caution, just inform them. There will be minimums. So if there's location, let's say BF is a location, and the minimum to be able to operate the SAC program is 35 students. Unfortunately, if 21 register for SAC, I'm not sure, we can't guarantee that we will be able to accommodate those 21 students. We are working on contingency plans now. I actually have a meeting on Friday morning with Ms. Corallo and her staff to see, even if we have a site minimum, what happens if we get registration from those children families, can we merge them with another site and work on busing or moving them? I can't say that that's unequivocally going to happen. We're still working through those contingencies now. But yes, there is going to be SAC proposed for at least 3 locations, contingent upon hitting those site minimums to make it affordable and effective to be able to pull off the program. No problem. Any other questions, Ms. Williams, Mr. Dubell, or Mr. Williams?
Hey, Miss Ware, D, did you have a question?
Your voices were merging together, so I didn't really hear either one of you.
Sorry, Mr. Cox. Ms. Ware, if you're still in the meeting, did you have a question for Mr. Cox regarding COVID transmission or a case?
Yeah, I was trying to understand how, if the students are in the class and the teacher tests positive or a student in that class, I'm just trying to understand how you would determine the primary, the direct versus secondary, because we're all in the class. And so I'm just trying to make sense of how that works.
Definitely understood. So the teacher, when the teacher is in person and has students on these days and students on those days, it's a little bit different. So we would have to, because correct me if I'm wrong, Principal Williams, BF is utilizing the cohort model, correct? And so let's say an English teacher would have in-person students on Monday and Tuesday, everybody's virtual on Wednesday. That same teacher would have the other portion of those students on Thursday and Friday. Is that, am I correct in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And so with a teacher, let's say, we one hope that no one gets COVID and is affected by this virus that has already affected so many of us. But let's say that a teacher gets the virus, and out of an abundance of caution, you know, we have been offering testing every Wednesday in the month of December. Currently, we are slated for 2 times every other week in January, February, and March, with the caveat that we can increase that back to every Wednesday on virtual day if the numbers deem necessary. But let's say that teacher decides, hey, every Wednesday, I'm going to go get a test just so I can know. That teacher gets a test. We have to assume, with the medium incubation period being 5 days, which is guidance directly from the CDC, we have to assume that at least 5 days prior that teacher was contagious and positive. So let's say they test on Wednesday. We have to assume Tuesday, Monday, Sunday, Saturday, Friday. So that puts both sides of the cohort into play. And so we have to take through contact tracing. That's what the investigation tool teaches us. I would communicate with the Teaneck Department of Health. We would get the cohort attendance records to see who was with that teacher on on Friday. And so, you know, that model may have 15 students in that classroom, but on that day, only 9 of them were present. So we would take those 9 that were present on Friday, and then we would look at the other portion of the cohort for Monday and Tuesday, and any of them that were present for that Monday and Tuesday would be notified that they are a direct contact of that teacher and would then themselves need to convert to a virtual model. And then there's different protocols that would dictate whether they tested, came back in on a case-by-case basis, but those options would be given to the individual at the time that they are notified of their direct contact. The secondary contacts would come in what they call a community or a linking event. So let's say that teacher takes their cohort on Monday to the gym with another class, and they're in the gym together for a half hour, 45 minutes, but they're at opposite sides of the gym. We would then treat them, which is a much smaller time frame. We would treat them as a secondary contact, again, informing the other class as such that they are secondary contacts. And then those individuals would be directly contacted one-on-one and be given their quarantine protocols based on the guidance given by the Department of Health for secondary contacts.
Mr. Cox, there was another question about the filter system. A parent asked, are they using this filter system in other schools in different districts, or is this only for Teaneck?
The MERV system, no. This is a very highly used system statewide and actually across the country, especially for buildings of our age range, right? Technology has changed. It's not that the MERV system is phased out and it's archaic technology, but they have found that there are some systems that are a little bit more energy efficient. And so after about 2010, buildings built now have multi-layered filtration and air purification HVAC systems that generally sit on the roofs. But buildings in the age range for the Teaneck buildings and other towns within the Bergen County area use the MERV system, where you can almost silo that room with its own individual univent system. And for years, for 50, 60 years, that was the go-to device, because it allows not having air go through ancillary ductwork like you have in your common home if you have like forced hot air or air conditioning, but it allows it to just be siloed just for that room. And it also, I'll add another caveat, it impacts temperature change. It's less volatile than a major system, because if a major system has an issue, you have to turn the whole system off. Now you have multiple classrooms that have issues, whether it be too hot, too cold, uncomfortable. With the univent system, if that classroom goes down, we always have the ability to relocate those students to a room or an area that is not down. We can troubleshoot it with maintenance, have it fixed appropriately, and get it back online, and only affect that classroom. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Cox.
No problem.
If someone asks, whether it be a nurse, there will be a nurse, not just at BF, but every building will have a nurse available. Yeah, and I also want to add that one of the things that we've done, and I believe it's on our website already, is with all of these community events that we're having, we've been generating questions that aren't just important, to our community at BF. They're important to the greater Teaneck, public schools community. So a lot of us have created FAQs, and we will be posting information, so that you can return to the website, and as you share questions with us, if it's a question that's that's universal, that we think should be asked and perhaps answered universally, we'll add it to this pool of questions, and we'll post it on the website. However, if it's just a question that you may have and it kind of speaks to a more personal situation with you and or your child, we will answer it to you. We'll answer it directly. However, but these FAQs, they are becoming popular, because it gives us an opportunity to answer questions that many people may have, and we will continue to try to generate these forms and to publish them, so that we can refer back to them with regard to some of the responses that has been shared here this evening. Let me see. I'm gonna, and pardon me. Let me see. I want to take a second to recognize a few individuals. So our assistant superintendent of curriculum instruction, Ms. Johnson, she has joined us on a call, and I want to appreciate. I want to tell her thank you, and let her know that we appreciate her joining us. I don't know if there's anything she would like to share, but we are certainly thankful for the work that curriculum instructors have been doing with regards to ensuring the continuity of instruction. And how's the chat room looking, Mr. DeBell, with regards to our questions?
We are good. We're all caught up. I'm just going to answer the last question that was just posed. And what I did want to share is if anybody does have any additional questions that may come up later on, tomorrow, over the weekend, you could always feel free to email us. Ms. Pena is available for any of our Spanish-speaking families who may have some questions about our return plan. She is an amazing asset for our school, and I'll put her email in the chat as well too. But just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, our teaching staff for being here. Our teachers and our kids are doing amazing work. Miss Williams, Mr. Williams, and I get to pop into classes each and every day. Learning is happening, engagement is happening, and it's truly been amazing to see how our students and staff have been able to adapt during this crazy time period and really be successful in so many ways. Can't be any prouder and can't say that any more each day than we already do. But definitely wanted to share that. And to our families too, the amount of work we know that you are putting into this endeavor is greatly appreciated. You know, we always use that cliche, it takes a village. And I think over these last 9 months, now more than ever before, we see that it truly is taking an entire village to keep our kids successful and safe. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. D. And I certainly would reiterate the same. Everyone's been doing amazing work, and we're gonna keep at it. That's what this plan is. It's an amazing plan, and if we do move forward with it, I want to show our parents and our staff that we are ready. We're ready. To keep our students safe and to provide. This initial phase of returning. A portion of our learners to the buildings, for instruction. And we're looking forward to it. We will monitor the situation, but we are ready. So thank you. So what I'm gonna do at the time now is it's 8:52 as it's approaching 9 o'clock. I'm not certain if there's another meeting Mr. Cox need to go to, but thank you for joining us and answering those questions, Mr. Cox, and we really appreciate it. If there's any questions that I think will be best answered by you or Ms. Simmons, I'll certainly get those questions to you. But thank you. We certainly appreciate the work that you've been doing in keeping our students, staff, and our families safe. And listen, it's snowing outside, so enjoy the snow. We're snowed in, but we have all of the tools to continue teaching and learning as long as the power hold up. So we'll continue with this work and enjoy.
I just wanted to thank you, Principal Williams, Assistant Principal DeBell and Williams, for having me and the rest of the BF family and staff community. I look forward to seeing students in person as we transition into in-person learning. Again, Mr. Williams, if you or anyone in your BF community has any questions, by all means, please forward those questions to me, and I will do my best. If I do not have the answer, I will make sure I research the appropriate guidance to better inform the parents on how they can keep themselves and their entire families and the rest of the BF community safe during the transition into in-person learning. Thank you for having me. Happy holidays, everyone. Please enjoy the snow, children, if you can get a chance to tomorrow. Hope everybody stays safe. Be well.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Happy
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Oh, you're in a Giants jersey.
Goodbye. My channel.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Thank you and happy holidays.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
What in
Ready? Hello, everybody.
Praise, get off me.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Okay.
Have a nice holiday.
I think it might be time for the first round of shoveling, y'all.
It's getting there.
It's here. Over here, it's already here.
How's it looking out your way?
I'm pretty sure we got a couple of inches already, if not more.
Okay. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens, you know. Once upon a time, teenagers will come knock on your door and handle it for you. But I think those days are long gone.
Yeah, we had 2 years ago, we had that 2 or 3 years ago, we had some teenagers come by.
Well, Layla, did she see the snow? Did she react to it for the first time? Did she get a chance to?
You know what? I don't even know. My husband was showing her the snow. I'm looking forward to, well, she's sleeping now. Tomorrow I'm putting her in a snowsuit and throwing her in there and see what happens.
Wow, okay. Well, don't throw her too hard. You know? we don't want them to come take her from you.
No. Snow's good for you.
Absolutely.
Wake you up.
Yeah. How's it going, Mr. Cello?
Everything's good. I see you shaved the beard.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to let it go and start, you know, I'm gonna start fresh.
I did the same thing. I had it going for all of November and a little bit of December. And my kids was like, Dad, when you shaving that off? They don't like it.
Yeah, right. Dad, you started to look like Grandpa.
Yeah. A lot of gray in there.
Well, it's a lot of stress.
Mr. D, how's everything?
Mr. Taylor, I tell everybody, you know, as a young man, you wait your whole life to grow that beard, then all of a sudden it starts to turn gray and you got to shave it off.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad was just like, just embrace the gray, man. Just let it grow in. I was like, nope, I'm not ready for that yet.
Mr. D, yeah, if either you can save the comments and you know if we can just share them amongst ourselves, just to review and make sure we we respond to everybody's questions. I know we are on record, so I'm gonna log off. You know, I have to make a room.